Dan, hello.
Hi,
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for joining.
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Hello to our guests. Welcome to Hinge's webinar on the very most important topic in our industry, which is everything staff. I feel lucky to have Dan Berzansky here with us. Dan is someone that I met recently at a swim school conference, and we, love that we have now entered the swim school space and finding it fascinating and really a really interesting model. So welcome to not only our early education providers here, but also our swim school owners and friends. We're very happy to have you guys join us as well. Dan, I would love for you to tell our guests about yourself and about your work, and then I'm going to turn it over to you for some great content.
Sure. I come to this industry and these industries, I should say, from really backyard swim lessons as a kid. Started teaching as a kid all the way through high school and college. Swam through college. As I graduated, I tell people I went and got a real job for a while. They put me through grad school, and I realized very quickly that I needed to get back to the kids space. So my first business that I founded was Premier Aquatics. It's still operating today. It's a full service lifeguard service company. We have summer camps, we have swim programs, we have a little bit of everything. That we employ about 600 plus employees on that front in about 100 sites. And that company has continued to grow and about almost 8 years ago, opened my first swim school, which is just through a lease space in a local city. And now I've bought and purchased and built two other swim schools, one with partners and one on my own. And here we are, just enjoying the space. And then as of late, it's really my focus has been on our software, which has been a people management software in the hourly and shift-based staffing space.
Right. So I want to be sure that people learn more about that, because one of the reasons, besides that, I think you've got a lot of great content to share with us, but I thought that your software was really fascinating. So would you like to tell us about that now, or are you going to talk about it in your content? You want to do it at the end?
Yeah, I specifically don't speak about it much in the content,
Okay.
just because that's not what I told you I would do. But just One Team 360 is an employee engagement, management, and retention app. So we essentially will help our users increase retention by upwards of 40%. We do that through a gamified employment experience. So it really is a bit of a game for the employees. It's a mobile first system where we work on trainings and certifications and all of their HR documentation. Everything happens through One Team. And it's really a game for the employee. It keeps them engaged, keeps them earning points. Those points earn them new pay raises or swag or whatever other incentives that you choose to offer. But it's really been a game changer for our business and just the way we retain and manage staff.
Well, this is exactly what drew me to you and your content, in that the way we attract people today, the way we create training and career paths, the way we make a fun and engaging culture, and we make people want to continue with our company. I felt like a training and management system that had fun and engagement built into it was such a fantastic idea. So I'm going to let you have the floor. I'm interested to hear your content. I would like to invite our guests during Dan's content to put any questions that you have in either the chat or the question section. We'll monitor those, and I'll hop back on at the end and we'll grill Dan and give him some questions. So thanks again, Dan, and I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I will jump on here, get my screen shared. And just want to make sure you can see what I'm showing you. Is that working for you?
We have it, Dan.
Okay, perfect. Lots of buttons to click, too many screens in front of me. So first and foremost, I already gave the intro, so I won't do it again. The big thing to mention is that really what's drawn me from a swim instructor to a property and business owner and swim school owner into the software space has really just been my passion for technology, systems, people, and marketing. That's really where my focus has been. So oftentimes, and we're going to go through this a little bit, my staff will say, I can't find anybody to work, or I can't find people where we need them. And the conversation I tend to have is, well, they're working somewhere. Why aren't they working for us? And that's really drawn me to a big passion in marketing, systems, and people. It really is fun for me. I open just to give you a sense of what I'm working with, because it's I speak to very different groups from time to time, but our org chart on the swim school and lifeguard business looks something like this. This is our management team. And I'll say that, Kathy, I'll share every slide here with the group when we're done. But this is the org chart that I'm working with. So we built this out 12 years ago. It was me. Hired my first full-time person 11 years ago. And then it's kind of grown from here. So everybody here is full-time on the management side. So that helps. But I do want to give a quick shout out to our director of people and culture. This has just been a huge hire for us. And as I only mention it because I put my money where my mouth is, I believe culture is the key. And we're going to talk about how the culture starts and how it carries on through employment. But having someone who is solely responsible for, her original title was Chief Happy People Officer. But it's such an important role, and I don't want to undermine it. I'm also working with my development team, which I'm working remotely. So I've got, if you look at most of the people on this screen are working in South America, and how do I engage with them as we go, and how do I keep them interested? Because I can promise you, each and every one of these people on the screen, they're getting poached every day. So what makes them want to stay here? And we'll talk about that. Okay. So first and foremost, I jump right into it. So where do we hire? And I understand that for some of you, I'm speaking your exact language because we hire part-time and hourly or shift workers. So where we hire might make sense to you, might not, but starts with TikTok. Okay, so and we'll talk about this in a bit. We move into Facebook, we move into Google, as you all are probably doing. If you're not, you will be. And then last but not least is Indeed. And Indeed has become the single most important recruiting tool that we've used. And I'll actually show you live data from I pulled it this morning, of our Indeed account, or our applicant tracking account. It all goes through, for the most part, Indeed. Now, keys to hiring online, because you know that there's a lot of noise. And the challenge with Indeed is that they've added this quick apply feature. So anyone at any point can apply for 50 jobs in one shot, and just speed is of the essence, and standing out in the noise of all these different employers is really, really important. So first and foremost, you need to pay to play. If you're looking for staff, if you're beating your head against the wall because you can't find enough people, and you're doing this all organically or with the free Indeed, I'm telling you now that you need to pay to play. Okay. I heard our Indeed call going on this morning, and we're what's called a featured employer, and we pay extra to stand out and be featured on everybody else's pages. Don't try and take this on yourself. If this isn't your sweet spot, if the person that's listening to this call right now isn't the person that understands this world, don't try and fake your way through it right now. There's a lot of different resources available to you, even systems like Upwork, where you can go and you can hire a freelancer to help you with this stuff. It's really important that you do that. I say setting a marketing budget. What's a new staff member worth to you? For me, it's $130,000 a year. Okay, I should probably cut this down from 52 weeks to 48 weeks or 50 weeks, but roughly speaking, we're looking at every staff member to me is worth $130,000 in revenue. That's based off of 3 shifts a week. This is 52 weeks a year, 4 hours a shift, 4 kids per class. This is how I do the math. I take a percentage of that number and I put it towards marketing. It's generally 3% for us, and we put it towards marketing. The other piece is make it cool. So who you think you used to be speaking to, you are probably speaking to a whole different group of people now. This generation, I spoke at a conference yesterday, and I'm hearing that everybody's having a hard time hiring. We are not having a hard time hiring because we're making it cool, we're making it fun, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay. I wanted to show you this. This is live data from my applicant tracking system today. You can see from January 25th through today. And so 90 days, we're looking at 3,200 applicants for my company. And I want you to pay attention down below. You can see 21 days to hire, but if we look down, this is actual data from my system that we pulled today. 2,600 of my applicants, 2,600 of my 3,200 came from Indeed paid versus Indeed organic. So if you look at organic or the free Indeed account, 189 applicants, 2,600 applicants came from paid. Okay. Now, the key here, and I know I will mention this again, you have to be Johnny on the spot, because again, they're applying to generally 15, 20, 30 different places in one shot. It's really important. We have a dedicated talent team that they're just waiting for those applicants to come in. We immediately get back to them to make sure we don't lose them. Okay. Now we see some decent referral numbers. We can see ZipRecruiter, we can see others, and we spend money everywhere. The fact of the matter is, paid Indeed, this is where we're getting our people. Okay. Now, a lot of you are also sponsoring ads. If you're not sponsoring ads, you should be. If you're looking to hire and you need to bring the numbers in. And I want to make sure that we talk about what is good about ads, what is bad about ads, or what are good ads, what are bad ads, I should say. So first and foremost, you need to do your research on who you're looking for. I work backwards. So who is my ideal, I call them my clients, but they're actually my employees. But who's my ideal employee? I build them out. I try to speak the speak and go to them where they are. I do my research on exactly who they are, and I create ads that speak to them, right? If I'm speaking dry and boring and wondering why I'm getting dry and boring people, I need to wake up, right? If I'm speaking fun, and I am not cool by any means, but if I'm speaking fun and hip and ads that actually speak to people that I want, I'm going to get the people that I want, okay? And you have to figure out how to stand out from the noise. So I love the screenshot. The ad on the bottom here, and these are 2 paid ads. They paid the same amount of money to be featured on this page. One is 17 to 41 an hour, which our research tells us employees find this to be a little bit shady and a little bit suspect. What am I going to have to do for the 40 versus the 17? Multiple part-time jobs available, no experience required, search and apply. This is just, it's boring, right? And if I'm someone who's driven and I want people who are driven, I'm not going for that job. Apple is hiring. The best job is the one you love. Apply for a part-time position at Apple, contribute to great ideas, credible work benefits, work with top talent. That is speaking to the person that I want to speak to as well. I want driven, motivated people that are looking for more to come join my team. Now, we've gone to ads and we've gone to Indeed, but now we have to talk about the job description. And I often talk about the difference between what your job description is saying versus my job description, right? So oftentimes I read my competitors' job descriptions and it's this, right? This is what it's spelling out to me. It's not exciting. It's a boring work environment. It's not something that's going to wake me up and get me excited versus something like this, which again, I'm looking for the 18 to 22, 18 to 24-year-old. This is something where it shows fun, it looks fun. And if we can bake in some of the other cool things about working for us, it's a no-brainer that they'll choose us, okay? So first and foremost, you need to show them why they want to work for you. It's really important. It can't just be the vanilla, boring job description. You are selling them. Again, you need to start thinking of your employees as your clients, and you need to sell them on why they need to work for you. Say video wins every time. We have tons of video that we push out. We're working now on embedding our videos into the actual job descriptions. Find someone cool to write it. You've got someone on your staff who's looking to do more. Maybe they're bored with working at the front desk and only working at the front desk, or working in the classroom or in the school. Find someone who is cool and have them help you write something. Maybe buy 5 people lunch and help write this job description together. I tend to pick my favorite people and get them in a room and say, okay, guys, I need 20 more of you. How do I get 20 more of you? And we build that job description from them. We do a lot of quotes from former staff. We have a page on our websites that are hidden, but we push those out once they've applied. Why Flex Gymnastics? Why Premier Aquatics? Why Premier Swim Academy? With video from former employees. We really spell out the progression plan, because that really is, if you haven't noticed this yet, you're about to. No one is coming to work with you unless they feel like there's somewhere for them to go. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to run the place in 2 years, but there needs to be some kind of clear progression, which is why we built it that way in One Team 360. We have levels. We have 20 levels for our lifeguard business. Every 20 shifts, they earn some kind of benefit in this new level. And a level could mean, again, swag or a pay raise or something like that. But it can also mean, all right, you've made it to level 4, you get to hijack our social media for a month. Or you get to join the job description team, or you get to join the fun team at the location. There's a lot of different things that we can give them that looks like progression and looks like steps up. And it makes people feel like they're moving towards something, as opposed to, I'm in a classroom, I'm only going to be in a classroom for the rest of my life. There's nowhere for me to go. That's not attractive to this generation. We highlight our staff from the past and how far they've come. So we've got staff in Ivies, we've got staff who are now in the DA's office and working in marketing firms and all these things. And we do a lot to highlight the things that we taught them to make them successful in their next steps. And they tend to love that. Other winning ideas, which I tend to throw out, we offer interview prep classes in the community. So we just push this out. We put some dollars behind it, and we teach people how to interview, young and old. We get a lot of people from other who are new to the US that maybe have never had this experience. And we offer free classes. And then we cherry pick the people that we like, which is a really nice thing for us. We do group interviews. I cannot recommend this enough. If you can do this, if it makes sense for your business to do group interviews, and I'm happy to share the agenda of what we do there, but it is a really, really, really fun experience. We do games, we do charades, we bare our souls, we tell jokes. It really is an experience. People generally leave there with this excitement about the business. But before they walk out the door, because you're like me, where people no show to interviews or people ghost you after they've had an interview. We leave those group interviews saying, all right, there's 10 of you here. Only 5 of you are going to be offered a job. We say that from the beginning. And it creates this fever and this panic to make sure they get their paperwork done on time, to make sure they get everything finished, because they feel like, I don't want to mess this up. This was really fun. This is the place I want to work. And they get through everything really quickly. For our swim schools, we do in-water interviews as well. So they get through a group interview. We then plug them in the water with students, and we tell them in advance, we prepare them, but we say, you have to teach me anything. It doesn't have to do anything with the swim lesson. It could be how to tie shoelaces. It could be how to put goggles on. It could be whatever you want it to be, but they have to be prepared to work with a child and teach that child. And we have to feel comfortable that they actually can relate. So it's a really good one for us. And it also sets us apart. When you look at our reviews, a lot of the employees say, well, they had me at the group interview, and then they even had me more when we went to in-water interviews. They really do enjoy it. And then we offer internship programs, which it's not internship programs with us. We actually put messaging out to all of our clients, and we say, hey, we've got this new batch of students of staff who have worked with us for a year or 2 years. They're coming back for their 4th year for a summer position or whatever it might be. And they're looking for internships in these fields. If anybody's interested in hiring them, let us know. So we've already vetted those people. And again, we've got people who are in the DA's office, marketing firms, CPA firms, legal firms, that they basically spent 2 years with us, really blowing us away. And we help them line up their next steps in life, because we know they don't want to be a lifeguard forever. They don't want to teach swimming forever. So we're going to give them some really cool tools to take it to the next level. And we've seen so much success from that internship program. The next thing I want to talk about is just an ATS, or an onboarding system. An ATS is an applicant tracking system. And we talked about the fact that Indeed will actually allow them to quick apply for a number of jobs in one shot. Well, an ATS can automate the job placement to all the job boards. It also helps with the easy apply, but it also immediately, once they've applied, it'll quickly send them back an email saying, great, thanks for your application. We'd love to get to know you. Here's a calendar to set up an interview. And it really automates that whole thing. So I don't know if you're anything like me, or if anybody here is even in the day-to-day at this point. But oftentimes when the old school method was every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to jump into my applicants and see what I have and reply back to them. Well, if you wait more than a couple hours, you've missed them. Someone else has offered them an interview or a job. So you've got to get to them quick. The ATS is very important. So manages the applicants, including text and email. You should be texting. For those of you who are in work opportunity tax credit zones, and you can Google WOTC, or work opportunity tax credit. The good ATSs will actually track the WOTC eligibility, and those are federal tax rebates on your payroll taxes if you're employing people in certain geographic or lower socioeconomic areas. And then it moves into automated onboarding, including all the paperwork, no more paper, anything. It's all done online. I just drop it in here. So we are clear on it. One team just created a deal. We just started a deal with a company called Staffed Up. And Staffed Up will do, is your ATS. We are actually paying for your Staffed Up membership as a member of one team. So you get all of the onboarding, you get all of the job placement ads, you get everything included in it. And right now it's included in your one team subscription. So we've talked about how we hire them better. Now we're going to talk about how we manage them better. Okay. And I love this quote: good management is showing average people how to do the work of superior people. The fact of the matter is that we tend, and I believe you all do too, we tend to hire younger, less experienced people, whether they're younger or not younger, but less experienced people, that we need them to do great things, right? We need them to be excellent people. I often say, my staff see my clients more than I see my clients. So I need them to be superior people. I need them to be great. But when they walk in the door, they're not always what I need them to be. So it starts for us with our orientation and our training program. So first and foremost, our orientation and training program is fun and interactive. Now, this is going to sound overwhelming to some of you because it's different than anything you've done, but I promise you, you will thank me once you have done it. Okay, so our orientation is fun and interactive. We do a lot of role playing. It's an experience, not a lecture, right? I don't know how many of you have ever sat in front of a video or PowerPoint and just be lectured to about the company and what we are and how we work and those things. Yes, we do that. We have that piece, but the actual orientation and training piece is fun from start to finish. And it really gets them to the point where they don't want to screw it up. They love working here and they don't want to screw it up. We say small steps, train them on it, let them experience it, and then train them some more. So it really is just a rinse and repeat, but we do it in very small chunks again and again. An example would be for our swim school. We have 6 levels. We will do 1 level at a time. We'll do some training on it. We'll get in the water. We'll work on it. We'll get back in the classroom, talk about what we learned, and then we'll go into level 2. And we'll do the same thing for level. So our training program could be 2 weeks. It is 2 weeks. Some of you can and cannot afford to do that, but it has made a huge difference. And I would put my instructors up against any school anywhere. I really think they leave that ready to go. And a systemized approach. It should be the same training if you do it, Kathy, or if I do it. It shouldn't be different. Tools we use an LMS, or a learning management system. So we build out our courses. We run off of our courses. We do some homework, and we come back. We do some classwork time. We have an interactive employee handbook that gets changed and updated every single month. So the handbook is something we live and breathe out of. So really our policies change all the time. What we learn from employing different people should change all the time. And we refer back to our handbook quite a bit. We use a system called Trainual, which is actually an interactive training manual. It could be your employee handbook. It could be everything. If you haven't checked Trainual out, you definitely should. I have no stock in them. We're users, and that's about it. But we love Trainual, and I don't know where we would be without it. We do offer parent orientations, and some of you are going to roll your eyes at me now, and this is where I might lose a couple. But if they're in high school still and they're working for us, we require that their parents attend a 1 hour orientation, a 20-minute orientation. We pay the staff an hour of time for their parents to attend on their behalf. And at the parent orientation, we give them a rundown of who we are, what we do, what their kids have committed to. We even talk about things like our referral system for how they can refer other staff members. And the fact that we're a mom and pop shop, right? Don't sue me, please. This is my wife. These are my kids. We run this business. We started this, and it really has helped quite a bit. And then obviously we use One Team 360. We built it internally, and now we offer it to others. But we use One Team 360 to reinforce everything. And I love this. We use this a lot. But you've got knowledge, and then you've got experience. The only way to bridge the gap and tie the dots together is to give them that experience and training. Hate to quote myself, but employees cannot meet expectations if expectations are unclear. So I oftentimes, when we start to notice in one team, we can pull trends of how we're performing or not performing. And it's really easy for us to see those trends. And what we see is, hey, we've had 10 of our new hires screw up in this fashion. All right, what are we doing wrong? Not what are they doing wrong, but what are we doing wrong to not give them a clear picture of what we expect, right? Oftentimes it's our fault, not their fault, especially when we start to notice trends. We just have to be open to that. As we move into training, we make an experience. This is a couple of our schools doing one of our in-service trainings. This was our new pool we just opened, so it was foggy and weird, and the weather was weird. Hadn't figured it out yet, but this is what it looked like. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but we make it an experience. People look forward to in-service trainings, and they leave so fired up to come in and really excel. It's such an important piece, and our staff love it. We plan those a year in advance. So when you're hired knowing you have to be here for these events. We always have at least a year scheduled out, and everybody knows I plan my vacations around it. My team plans their vacations around it. It's really a lot of fun. So game changer alert for us is, and again, everybody's in different positions in different places, but these are my two training directors. So Sal's my director of training for my swim schools. Mike is my director of training and quality assurance for my lifeguard business. And having these two people who are just dedicated to quality assurance and making sure our lessons look the way they're supposed to look, our lifeguards behave and act and are ready to react the way that they're supposed to. It's been something like I cannot begin to describe the return on investment from these two positions. It's allowed us, and oftentimes when I talk to gymnastics schools about one team, no gymnastics schools that I've talked to really have a floor manager. Everyone just shows up, they go to their classes and teach their classes, but there's no one shaking hands and kissing babies and watching classes, making sure the staff are doing what they're supposed to. And we do have that. All of my swim schools have a deck manager on for every single lesson. I can't recommend enough a floor manager or a deck manager or a quality assurance manager. It doesn't have to be a full-time person. It could be one of your levels in your incentive program is that you've earned 2 hours a week to be a floor manager, right? So you're a teacher for 38 hours, you're a teacher for 18 hours, and then you get 2 hours of floor manager time. They feel like it's a bump. They feel like it's a promotion. It also gets them out of the classroom to change it up a little bit. The last thing I'll say about it is they will learn so much from watching other teachers teach, even if they have experience. Your staff will thank you if you look at offering something like that. And this is a big one. If the face of your business doesn't want to form relationships, find a new face. So we talked about how important culture is. I realized the hard way that we were losing people because the face that I had as their main point of contact didn't want friends, didn't want to be friends, didn't want to spend extra time, didn't want to form any relationships at work. She just wanted to get her job done. And really, it was really dumb of me. I should have realized it much sooner. As soon as we put someone as the front-facing person someone who really wanted relationships and wanted to build things with other people, everything changed, right? And it really was just a person to, hey, how you doing? What's going on? But that face of the business really should want relationships. If they don't, you need to find a new face. So we've talked about hiring them. We've talked about managing them. Now we're going to talk about how to retain them. And I pulled this just from online, but we know that talented employees stay because they are paid well, appreciated, listened to, promoted, involved in decisions, mentored, and challenged. And it's how we built our stuff. So I love that. So first and foremost, in all of my businesses, this is not a democracy. This is a democracy, not a dictatorship. Okay. If you want them to buy in, you need to let them have a voice. Okay. Now this throws people off. We have people coming from corporate. We have people coming from other organizations who have never really truly been empowered to do great things. They don't last very long with me. If you're not going to come and carry your own bag, and we say that from day one, it's in our job descriptions, it's all the way through our trainings, you're not going to work. Okay. So let them have a voice, let them feel like they're part of your team. And we have advisory teams for everything. We have advisory teams for social events, right? Let them have a voice and they will buy in. It's huge. Okay. And then shared goals and purpose. Now this is the newest picture I could find, but this is just our goals versus our actuals in one of our swim schools. So this is posted in our office. It's our KPIs, it's total enrollments, new enrollments, drops, fill rates, and so on. And we actually advertise this to our entire team because we want them to know what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve, and we want them to have a part in that. So ask yourself, do you share your goals with your team? Do they know exactly what you're aiming for? Do they know your financial goals? Do they know your enrollment goals? Do they know what you're trying to accomplish? Do they know that you're trying to open a new facility, right? What part can they have in helping you open that new facility? We share all those goals. We're 5 and 10 years out with all of our goals with all of our full-time people. Do they have skin in the game? So we offer profit sharing plans, and we actually give them skin in the game for our full-timers. And then I ask you, what would it cost to reward them for reaching these amazing new goals? So let's just say your goal is 2,200 and you're at 2,068. What would it cost you to actually get them fired up? You know, maybe it's pizza, maybe it's a dinner out on the town, maybe it's a night out with their spouse or something like that. Maybe it's free babysitting for staff one night so they can all they can go on date night. Those are all really, really easy things for us to all do. And the outcome would be huge, right? Most importantly, can you do it on your own? The answer is no, right? You need them to be excited and bought in. So you need them, get them to buy in, and this is an easy way to do it. We track our team goals. So this is a screenshot from one team. We can actually see who our stars are, but most importantly, we can see how our team is performing in this month. So in March, we finished the month at 95% positivity index, which essentially means that 95% of the work shifts were great shifts. People showed up on time, they were in uniform, they behaved the way they were supposed to, they trained the right way, all of those things. That's a really great outcome. We don't always get to 95%, but that was a great month. So I took a screenshot of it. And then I'm going to talk about, we're kind of nearing the end here, but team belonging and goals. And we added something called the happy team. And people think I'm ridiculous when I talk about this, but I don't think I am. I think that I'm really happy that we did this. And our happy team, you work through the incentive program. If you reach a certain level, you get to apply to be on the happy team. And the happy team essentially means that you get X amount of hours per week to work on fun stuff for the company, okay? Outside of the norm. It's not teaching shifts. It's not coaching shifts. It's nothing like that. It's fun. So our happy team, and when they reach level 4, they qualify for an interview. They get $200 a month to spend on fun for the team. Our staff team, they get $200 a month to spend on customer fun. They handle all of our social media, all of our content for our e-blasts. They handle our swimmer of the month. They handle our holiday events, our Halloween houses, Christmas with Santa, Black History Month, Chinese New Year, Hanukkah, and everything else. They handle all of it. Team building events for everybody on the team, and so much more. So this is my wife and I, actually. I'd love to see in the chat if anybody knows who we are, but this is the lineup of people for our haunted house. I literally showed up. They said, Dan, we're going to build a haunted house. Can we have an extra $1,000 for this event? I said, sounds good. Great. Let's do it. I can't tell you the haunted house that they put together. And we had a lineup down the street for people to walk through it. And then this was the end of our haunted house, our Halloween event. Food trucks and costume contests and parties and people bringing their friends in that had never seen our facility before. And it's really turned into like a community event now. And it really, I think at the end of the day, it ended up costing me about $800 because we negotiated with the food truck to give us a percentage of the dollars back. And we took those dollars, threw it right back into the event. And that's just one event that they put on. So it really is amazing. So to retain top talent, you have to offer more than a competitive strategy. You have to keep them engaged, learning and growing. And we do that with things like the Happy Team, right? The Happy Team feels like they're doing more than just working a shift every day. They're excited about getting creative. We actually sat down, it's 4 weeks ago now. I sat in a room with about 15 people from our 3 schools, and we brainstormed ways to just do new fun stuff and new things and how to drive enrollment. And I have to tell you, I approved them right there on the spot, and they went out and did all of it. And I'm blown away by what they've put together. And honestly, they're young kids who, generally speaking, would never have a voice anywhere else. And I just let them go crazy. And obviously, I play the bumpers, but they're super excited about it. And they're out in the community, and they do so much, and they really love it. As we kind of get towards the end here, surveys. We offer different kinds of surveys, so standard surveys on a regular cadence to all of our staff. We ask very specific questions, but we are always ready to take action. I'm going to skip over Net Promoter Scores, but I'll touch on it very quickly. Essentially, if you aren't doing Net Promoter Score surveys for your clients and for your staff, I recommend you look into them. I'm happy to chat with anybody afterwards if they would like to learn about it. But essentially, it's automated marketing. It's a marketing tool where if they say, yes, I'm a 9 or a 10, I'm really happy working here, we automatically send them links to review us online. So at all the different reviewing sites. If they're passives, we'll automatically send them a message of how can we do better? How can we earn a 9 or a 10? And if they're detractors, it sends off alarm bells in the facility. And we actually will call them and say, hey, we've clearly let you down. What can we do to make it up to you? Can't win them all, but the Net Promoter Scores helps us quite a bit. And this is a 360 feedback from One Team 360. So this goes out after every single shift. Every single shift, they get a notification from us saying, hey, your scores are in for your shift. Tell us how we did. So we get to come up with any custom questions we can dream up. And the beauty is we can now see weekly ratings for our managers. So as you know, your staff aren't quitting you or your facility, your staff are quitting your managers. Right? So if we can actually get insight into which managers are the most effective, or which managers are the rudest or the meanest, or there's harassment or whatever it might be, we can fix some pretty serious glitches right off the bat. So this 360 feedback piece has been huge for us. And we've learned a hell of a lot. It's anonymous. Only the owner of the company can see who said what, but we've learned a lot. As we get through here, we offer training reimbursements for our staff in the field of their choice. That means if they're a teacher for me and I know I'm gonna, when they hit a certain level in the incentive program, we'll offer them dollars to go to the local community college to learn marketing or social media marketing or Excel or finance or whatever it is, something that I can benefit from, right? If they learn Excel, if they're taking lessons in finance and I can put them to work to do little things, that's huge for me. And I've kept them much longer. We offer smaller rewards, but much more often. We don't make them chase it. We automate it all. Again, it's all through One Team. So One Team will notify me when I owe someone something. Again, I mentioned the profit sharing plan, and then simple things like just happy anniversary announcements and happy work anniversaries and special thanks for covering a shift. We actually track their favorite candy. We track their favorite fast food restaurants, their favorite Starbucks order. And we when they do something great for us, we can go do something great for them with something custom, right? If Noah picks up a shift last minute, I can show up with a strawberry lemonade from Starbucks as opposed to a Coca-Cola because that's his favorite drink, which is really, their eyes just bug out of their head when they see that. Wow, you really did that for me. And it's huge. I like to close with Tony Shake. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but good service comes naturally from satisfied employees who embrace the company culture. That company culture starts with the job description, moves all the way through orientation and training, and then day-to-day management and communication. And all of a sudden, we've got these really, really happy employees who want to tell all their friends to come work there too. And that happens. And we've got a very happy culture and team all together. I threw his book up there as well. Again, I have no stock. I wish I did have stock in his book, but I don't. And with that, I do have we'll open up for questions. This QR code is if anybody's interested in checking out One Team. Erin is our customer success manager. This links right to her calendar. So you can spend some time checking out the system. My email is there if you have any questions. And Kathy, I am going to stop sharing and I'm all yours.
Wow, that was amazing, Dan. Thank you so much. And we will, like Dan said, we'll share his slides. I can't wait to get them myself. And also his contact information. For our early education community, we here at Hinge have begun to learn a good bit about the business and financial model that Dan comes from, even though he understands early education really well as well. But one of the things that we're learning is that if you had an average childcare center of 250 capacity for students, that translates into about 50 staff members. The staff members are similar, but what's a little mind-blowing for me is that you then have 10 times the number of children. So where you might have 250 in a childcare center, you need 2,500 coming through your swim school each week to get to the same metrics. So, you know, the financial brain over here explodes a little bit when I think about the logistics and the customer service associated with 10 times as many students. But also, I really like that you are targeting a certain demographic group, and also I think that the theories you're working with here cross all demographic groups. So do you have, we've got some great questions, but I got some too. So do you have an employee base at all that is in a older age group or
Yeah.
Okay, so managers mainly, or how does that work?
No, little bit of everything. Because of the flexibility we are able to offer. And I know it's a little bit different in childcare. We're very different in childcare. Our swim schools, we have no flexibility. You're set to a schedule. It's exactly like you would employ. In fact, our swim schools and the childcare centers are very similar. Lifeguards, we can be very flexible with it. But yeah, really all ages and stages. And oftentimes the older demographic will kind of, I can't believe we have to do this stuff. And, you know, because they're like, I'm just used to wanting to work. But it's different now.
Yeah, right. I really think across all age groups and demographics, people want to have a lot of fun and enjoyment at work. Anyone that works with children finds fun, you know, to be their mission in life. So I really think that the same programs and the same type of delivery would translate across all age and demographic groups. So I'm going to have a whole page here of things that I would love to say, but our guests are more important here. So I am going to flip over here. So you spoke early on about the applications that are most instrumental in finding people for you, with Indeed being number one. We did get a question about Facebook that our guests, employees say that Facebook's now for old people, which I'm on it. So, you know, it probably is.
Yep.
How do you think about that? Is it, so we saw that overwhelmingly Indeed was your number one source. We also hear that from most of our clients that Indeed is number one in referrals, which you also mentioned is fast becoming number two. But are you getting traction on Facebook still?
We are. A lot of our ads will go out through Facebook, and the beauty of Facebook, you can put one ad up and your Instagram and your Facebook are linked. So you can actually double dip to some degree. The other thing is I touched on TikTok. Excuse me. I touched on TikTok, but we have dedicated, and our clients don't know this exists. It's got a funny name. We have a dedicated TikTok page that our staff, when they level up, they get access to run it. And you can't imagine how ridiculous they get. We get a lot of recruitment from TikTok, but I don't even know what's on there. It's our staff having fun at the facility, and it's turning into a little. They're turning into a little following. So
fun. Okay, so several people have asked about your group interview. First of all, they would love to see your agenda, but could you talk a little bit more about that? I know that some people have success there. A lot of people find it awkward, or but also you mentioned games and fun, and talk a little bit more about how you implement that.
Yeah, and let me just say, it'll be years before I even explore leading group interviews. What we've seen, the success we've seen from group interviews is unmatched. But one, with the sheer number of people that we have coming in, we have to somehow streamline things, right? So I can offer 3 or 4 or 5 group interviews a week. So that's maybe 5 hours. And again, we're cycling through 3,000 applicants. That 5 hours that's 50 people, right? To get 50 people into an individual interview would have been 25 hours. I can now do that in 5 hours. And even if a few don't show up, oh well, if you didn't show up, we can still offer an experience. We generally open up our group interviews with things, and we tell them, come prepared to be, even if you're not an extrovert, you need to put it on. So we start with things like name and your favorite animal noise. And we jump into charades, and then we talk about your greatest fear, and we talk about where you want to be in 5 years. And we do this in a group setting, and very quickly you can see the people that you do or do not want representing your business. And you're in a position where you can't say, thanks, but no thanks, which individual interviews, it's a little bit harder to do. But then again, the biggest piece is they're now coming in as a cohort. Generally speaking, they'll train together. They've interviewed together and bonded. They now want to go see through the next stage. They're getting to know each other. Now we have kind of this family unit that's moved into the company together, and it's much harder for them to leave once they're in, right? They don't want to be the one, because they've spent pretty serious time with one another, training and learning and onboarding. And so the group interviews are huge for us. And again, once we say at the end, guys, we only have 5 positions for the 10 of you. What we find is that I send a text or an email out, not me, but our team, they get a response immediately. These people don't want to screw it up, as opposed to now where the employee had all the power, and they'll get back to us when it's convenient for them to get back to us. So.
Right. I also like about this that I'm sure across all industries, we're all experiencing a less experienced team when they first come in. So we're having to meet people where they are, provide good experiences. And I suspect the group interviewing process helps you focus on, I don't know about you, Dan, but I would rather hire the right culture and then train well than try to do it the other way around. So gain skills, but not feel like I have the right culture, because I don't know about you, but I haven't figured out how to teach that. They have to come in with a certain level of culture. So I imagine that group interview helps you see the engagement and the interaction between people and support of each other and things like that.
Yeah. We say we can't teach personality. We can teach you to teach to swim. I can't teach you personality. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Love that. I'm going to throw in one of my questions. So I was really intrigued by your director of people and culture. We hear a lot of addition of trainers, which you also mentioned, but also commonly called HR team members. I love director of people and culture because that really speaks to the heart of what you believe in, and it probably says a lot more to your team than director of HR. Could you tell us a little bit more about that position and what does that person do? Do they create culture? Are they implementing what you created? What kind of activities do they do?
Yeah, so first and foremost, she is also my HR director, but we don't call her that.
Yeah,
We don't
right.
call her that. She's nothing to do with it. So she's handling all the ugly stuff and the good stuff as well. She handles things like benefits. She handles things like discipline when it needs to get to that point. But really, what I ask is that 80% of her time is spent on just building relationships, be in the field, talk to people, teach them how to have difficult conversations, and really. If I had to say it, I'll say it quietly, but it's the best decision I've ever made from a hiring perspective, because I'm tired. I haven't been doing this I'm now 25 years into this, excuse me, this industry. And I want to be with my kids and I want to do other things and I want to go away for the weekend. And it used to work because I was the culture, catalyst. I can't do that anymore. So I had to bring someone in who was the right personality, who wanted to get into the HR, and she had no HR experience, by the way. We taught her that. She was the right personality, knew how to speak to people, how to treat people, understood what my goals were. And then we taught her the HR piece. And she's been, I consider her a number 2 or number 3 in the company.
Love that. And again, I think just that slight shift from HR director to the title that says director of people and culture says a lot to your team. This isn't, well, sometimes when people hear HR, they're like, oh, what I do wrong? Where's the HR person's coming to talk to me? When you hear people and culture, it says to me, this person has a real focus on my well-being in this company. So,
and I'll tell you, it was a light bulb moment for me, because we spent about 6 or 8 months interviewing for this position. And initially it was HR. We were looking for HR generalists or HR, whatever they were. And the fact of the matter is, not one of them made me want to hang out with them. Not one of them made me feel good about wanting to, yes, they could check the box and making sure I was compliant and I was this and I was that, but they were boring as hell. And I didn't enjoy spending time with them. I didn't look forward to it. And then I had Amber come in, and it's a totally different experience, right? It's someone who I want to go to lunch with, it's someone who I want to spend time with. And that right away, I was thinking, why would I possibly spend, it's not a cheap position. Why would I spend money like I'm spending on someone who doesn't drive culture and doesn't make this a better place to work? Right.
And so I keep saying this because we've got good questions, but have to say one more thing. So also, I really gravitated towards your comment about your, I'm trying to see what you call them, your front-facing person. So your happy hour person is what I used to call
happy
them
team.
in our, so the person who loves people so much that their job is to rotate, say hello, ask how the experience was, how are you doing, and could be a teacher for 2 hours during parent pickup or drop off in a child care center, same thing in a swim school or gymnastics school or whatever else. But if you don't have that person, no amount of the business financial regulation person is ever going to get you a full school. And if your person is a great people person and they struggle with those other things, get them some support. Don't throw away the people person because you need the business person. Figure out how to, if those have to be 2 different people, and in my experience, they usually are, get that person some support, because I've seen schools go from 0 to 100 with that one person change, or the other way around. Critical position. Right. Are your schools close enough for an event that reaches all 3 schools, or are you doing the happy team by individual schools? How do you do that?
So we have one marketing manager that oversees the company, all the companies actually. She oversees a happy team at each location. They're too far apart to do one event. We tend to train at the middle location, because it's about 30 or 40 minutes from each. But they're completely separate happy teams for each site. They want different things too. So I tried to combine them, but this demographic versus that. They want different things and different activities.
Oh, that's interesting. So you see some differences within individual school cultures and what speaks to them. Yeah,
Yep.
but if there anyone else here with multiple sites, give us your feedback on how you do you do culture across the entire company, or how much of it is individualized? That's an interesting question. Dan, can you share an outline and timeline for the onboarding process? So how do you do that, and what does the timing of it look like? I think you mentioned 2 weeks before they ever really work with children, but what does that whole process look like?
Yeah, so for our swim instructors, it's close to 60 hours. So they do some online work, they do classroom work, they do in-water work. It really is a slow roll towards the end. The first week is really classroom water, and we split. The second week, we offer free programming to the community. So generally, we'll go to the local YMCA or Boys and Girls Club and say, hey, we've got free lessons available. You have to commit. I think we charge them $5 for 5 lessons. And they come in and they help us with our training programs. So we're teaching kids who might not be able to afford our lessons, which is a win. And then we're also getting actual hands-on experience with kids for our new instructors. But it's about 2 weeks. Our lifeguards are different. They go through culture training, they go through an orientation, and then they go through a site-specific training depending on where they're working. So much quicker.
Customize it per position.
Yep.
A little bit,
yep.
Right. I am going to, we have time for one more thing. So I was really intrigued because I hear a lot of this too, and I'm also thinking about it for my own company. I really like that you say make it cool, because make it fun and make it cool, make it interesting to people. And I see great models of that across all of the early education industries that we're talking about. Make it fun. Don't, I also took a lot from your comment about the lecture style of teaching that we're used to and most often see, but also the use of video in your work. So how do you use video in your training and your marketing? How are you shifting the way you communicate with people in video form?
So we use video for everything. So every single site has a GoPro, and we will task out through one team. We'll task out different things that we need for video. So we'll actually give them, if there's some downtime, they'll get some video time, or we'll work it into their schedule. We have a drone that we share. So we film kids outside playing, we film kids in the pool, we film lifeguards. I think I'm the only person in my industry that has a full-time videographer, photographer on staff. And he is busy. He's very busy. He's constantly just buzzing around, and our training director will dictate. So Sal will call Tim, they have weekly meetings. These are the videos that I need. And Tim will deliver those videos within the week, and then Sal will work them into the trainings. But our trainings change quarterly for the most part. We're always evolving and changing, and just depending on who we have and what we have. But they work really closely together. And then from a marketing perspective, we use video as much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. A GoPro and a drone on staff.
GoPro and a drone on staff. Every facility has a GoPro.
Those are terrific. Well, I am not out of page with my notes and questions, but I want to thank you so much for your time today and for the information that you shared with our guests. Again, we will send out Dan's slides. We'll post his contact information. You guys are welcome to reach out to the Hinge team with any questions or contact. We'll be learning more about Dan and his work. I'm sure I will voluntold him to do something else again in the future, and look forward to having his support more broadly with our guests. So thank you so much, Dan.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.